Welcome to the Dr. Aaron Show. This is a top spiritual awakening and new thought ancient wisdom podcast to teach you how to become your highest self, unleash your spiritual superpowers, discover your soul's purpose, and manifest your dreams. Hi, I'm Dr. Aaron, Doctor of Divinity, and I'm committed to bringing you the best manifesting and coaching tips, spiritual advice, trauma healing, and metaphysical recovery secrets. I'm here to help you reprogram your subconscious mind, monetize your spiritual gifts, and love your life. I want you to know that I've been exactly where you are, and I believe in you. Together, we're awakening the world. Hello, my friends. Today we are on day 6 of the 40-day awakening podcast, where I'm going to go into the topic today of relative versus ultimate truth. And why does that matter? Because we are suffering when we're not living in alignment with our relative truth. And we're always moving towards the ultimate truth. So I'm going to break on down some distinctions for you today in a little lesson, about 11 minutes long. And then I'm going to take you into a guided meditation. Because when we get our mind right, we feel right. Our neurological system feels better. Everything flows. And we begin to really experience our divine power, our passion, and our purpose. So sit back, enjoy this podcast. I invite you to give a review, share this with a friend so it can spread truth across the universe. So today's topic is truth. Live your truth. It's one of my favorite sayings. Well, what the hell does that mean exactly, right? So one night, it was a movie night, and I curled up in a sofa with a bowl of popcorn. And I turned on this movie. It's called Sliding Doors, and it's a romantic drama. In fact, it's been many, many years since I watched any traditional movies, but this was one of those traditional movies I watched, which was a romantic drama. And it was really about parallel universes. And in this movie, there was this woman. Her name was Helen, and she was the main character. She actually worked at a public relations firm, and it shows her in this day. And there's kind of two universal parallel universes that are going on, rather. And in one, she actually gets fired from her job, and she goes home and she finds her boyfriend in bed cheating on her. And in the other parallel universe, she actually gets fired, and she's going into the elevator, and she drops her keys and she has to get out of the elevator. And meanwhile, she misses the train to go home. And when she gets home, her boyfriend had already, had his lover leave the apartment. So she didn't know. But what happened in these two parallel universes is that by the end of the movie, both of the parallel universes had the same ending. And so actually she ends up breaking up with that boyfriend, and she ends up being in another relationship. And she has a lot of trauma, if you will, from this experience with her ex-boyfriend. And so her new boyfriend is calling out on the bridge, telling her, that he loves her. And she says, "Is that the truth, James?" She asks him, "Is that the truth?" She's really questioning, what is love? And the point is right there. It was as if the universe was speaking directly to me again, telling me another secret of awakening, summed up in the greatest question ever asked. What is truth? People can say they love you. You can say you're successful, right? Is that the truth? Science seems to say this is the truth. We figured it out. And then science seems to always be changing all of their findings, right? What is the truth? So this is a question I dove into years ago to question, what is truth? And the Greeks were the first to develop the concept that every person has an individualized truth, that there's ultimate truths and there's relative truths. Mind-blowing, right? We know this through incredible things like perspective, right? Universal law truths are changeless. They're eternal. They're absolute. Things like energy cannot be destroyed. The fact that there's only life can't be destroyed. The life factor can't be destroyed, right? You can't destroy energy, right? These are independent of personal perspective or interpretation. Relative truth, however, it can change dynamically for each person, right? We see this in relationship issues where people say, well, I see it this way and I see it that way, right? We see all different things coming down to even what we call the observer effect in quantum physics, right? Where This effect proves that observing an act can actually change the phenomenon of the actual event. The observer effect the perception actually changes the relative perspective. The actual outcome is impacted by the observer, right? We also see this through the Hawthorne effect, where people, by just observing people, their patterns change, right? These are all relative things of perspectives, but done through what we call universal law. How the observer impacts the thing is absolute truth. It's the manifesting way of life. Your relative truth is your perspective, and your perspective is relative, right? So Einstein's theory of relativity is really the best way to really tackle this, and knowing that there's consciousness that's creating. So why does this matter? It matters because your joy matters. Your not suffering matters. What's relative for you and what works for you in relationship is different for you than any other human being on the planet. What works for you and how you define success depends upon your perspective, and really deprogramming out what everyone else told you what success is so that you can birth your specific success and live with your truth, right? So the difference between absolute truth and relative truth is you can have and acknowledge opinions, viewpoints, without stating them as absolute truths, right? You can have it be okay that someone else is polyamorous and that doesn't work for you, right? You can have it and say, that's not my truth. I'm completely monogamous and this is who I am over here, right? Or vice versa, or whatever it is. We don't have to have everybody on the planet see our perspective. And we get to have other people have different viewpoints, as long as they're not imposing their viewpoints or harming others, right? May living your truth set you free is one of my biggest statements and quotes that I say all the time. And in my opinion, which is relative, one of the primary points of spiritual awakening work is to birth your unique truth. This is some of the biggest work that we do in the school, is that we help people birth their truth in all areas of their life. We help them birth their purpose, their soul's purpose. There's a term called meutics as a Greek oracle process that's based in the word midwifery. And it's because the modality of birthing one's baby was midwifery, right? Meutics is birthing one's truth. And that's what we do. As spiritual psychology practitioners and coaches, we help someone birth their truth. Socrates applied this technique to what now is called the Socrates method. And modern cognitive therapy and things like that use a very similar thing, in that we're trying to just help somebody figure it out, right? So what does this mean exactly? This means that you have choice, that you get to no longer succumb to what the culture, your programming, your epigenetics, your old ways of being, your stuck patterns. You get to literally liberate yourself and live your truth. And so today, I invite you to take a deep breath in and just remembering the law of relativity, that what occurs within you occurs within the universe. That what occurs in the microcosm level is what's happening on the macrocosm level. Spiritual truth and universal laws are absolute truth. However, they can be individualized and used for a relative perspective and experience. People are endowed with the individual use of the one mind in the exact proportion and distortion they choose to use it at a soul level. Therefore, really and truly, you get to experience all of it. Your truth can be that you are the I am that I am. Or you can have the perspective and the relative truth that you're divided, alone, sad, and lonely, right? You get to use the law for your relative truth and expand it every single day in every single way. So today, the invitation is to accept people's viewpoints, to accept yourself and fully, unconditionally accept your own viewpoint, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, but being in alignment with what works for you. One of the highest spiritual abilities is to accept people as they are. It's one of the hardest abilities for sure, allowing others to have their own personal truth. And so today I invite you to practice non-judgment and non-resistance. Allow others to have their own relative viewpoints about life. Simply become fascinated by how people choose to perceive their circumstances and the world. Release the need to have others have the same viewpoint as you, right? Allow others to be who they are. knowing that each person's path is unfolding perfectly. So in this divine moment, I invite you to take a deep breath in and exhaling out. And as you go into this guided meditation, I invite you to ask yourself, do you want to expand your viewpoint? Do you want to accept people as they are? Do you want to fully be empowered of your relative truth to align more and more with ultimate truth? And if it's a yes, I invite you to come in and get trained in the school with me and with our extraordinary community. I invite you to say yes to your life, your consciousness, and investing in the greatest investment you'll ever make is in yourself, in your consciousness. And in this, I hope you go into this guided meditation, being able to get into right mind and being able to use your energy for the highest good. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the guided meditation. Welcome to the meditation on truth. May you live your truth and the law of relativity. I'd like to invite you to find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Let's start by taking a few deep breaths in through the nose and out the mouth. Letting go of all your worries of the day. Inhaling in love and exhaling out everything that no longer serves you. Coming into the present moment, breathing into the presence within. So what is truth? There are ultimate truths and relative truths. You have an individual truth that only you have. Your spiritual work is birthing that truth. The Oxford Dictionary defines truth as that which is in accordance with fact or reality. A fact or belief which is accepted to be true or verified, or an indisputable fact. Universal truths are different than relative truths. Universal truths are changeless, eternal, and absolute. They relate to the world and the whole of mankind. They're the physics of matter, such as gravity and the laws of the universe. They are independent of personal interpretation or the reflection onto it. These underlying core truths are how energy flows to you, through you, and around you in every living vibrational organism. Ultimate truths are the mechanics of how the creative process works, regardless of your own individuality. Relative truths are different for every single human being in existence. Einstein's theory of relativity is the best way to tackle this concept. Relative truths are the projection and reflection of each individual's consciousness. Relative truths are relative truths because they are truths determined by your own perception. One of the primary points of spiritual work is to birth your unique truth. Awakening includes boldly living your personal truth and allowing others to have theirs. And when you finally unveil your unique divine truth, You are set free to express yourself profoundly, unapologetically, confidently, and with beauty and grace. As Princess Diana said, only do what your heart tells you. The law of relativity states, what occurs on a microcosm level is what happens on a macrocosm level. Spiritual truth and universal laws are absolute truth. However, they can be individually used for a relative perspective and experience. You have been endowed with the individual use of the one mind in its exact proportion and distortion that you choose at a soul level. Furthermore, your individual reality is in direct relation to the whole. And so today's practice is to accept other people's viewpoints, that they have their own perceptions, their own beliefs, and their own individual use of the one mind. One of the highest spiritual abilities is to accept people just as they are, without judgment, without the desire to change them, staying neutral and becoming fascinated with how they use their energy. Allowing others to have their own personal truth is where freedom lies. So I invite you to practice non-judgment and non-resistance to other people's viewpoints today. Allowing them to have their own relative perspective about life. Simply become fascinated by how people choose to perceive their circumstances and the world. Releasing the need to have others have the same viewpoint as you. Allow others to be who they are, knowing that each person's path is unfolding perfectly. The truth is that everyone is a divine spiritual being with the power to create anything they choose. And so knowing today, as you accept other people's truths, you can accept yours and be set free to live the life you were designed to live as a unique divine expression of Source. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into the Dr. Erin podcast. If you're ready to reprogram your subconscious mind, transform your trauma, and birth your soul's calling, or if you're ready to become an accredited certified spiritual psychology coach and E4 trauma method facilitator and get trained in spiritual psychology, universal law, intergenerational trauma work, past life regression work, metaphysics of mind, and so much more, go to draaron.tv. If you're receiving value from the show, I would love it if you share it with a friend and give it a 5-star review. Have a beautiful day, and may you live your truth.